Everybody, greetings. Welcome to Kai and Y. Appreciate you coming through. Really appreciate your participation. You can always subscribe rather, comment, join in the live chat. It's an open chat room. Or if you catch the replay, as you can see from what I had in my thumbnail, this is about Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, who has been elected once again to run the country of the United States of America. And today is another big day. He has been just doing his thing, running ever since he got in the door back in the White House. It's like he put on his gold Trump shoes and sneakers he came out with and has been running. So going to get right into that. A little brief on Hegseth, that one of his appointees that's being opposed of, and then he has like a sex scandal where he paid some money and whatever, blah blah blah, right? So we got that too. Trump is due this afternoon, shortly, I think around noon Eastern, maybe 10 minutes or so. He's going to be visiting North Carolina, and California, where they've hit the most destruction. So there's been a lot of disaster there. So we'll get right into that too. So if you're new, welcome. I'm Kai of Kai and Y. And if you're returning, I appreciate you as well, always. For this, I'm mostly going to just show what's going on. Sometimes I'll tap in and give commentary here and there, but I kind of go about it like that. Some of the live streams are mostly talking, and I have visuals sometimes. And I try to give you important information, and sometimes add entertainment here and there. So interested in that, you're in the right place where the truth is at. Thank you.
Look, whatever it is, he's a good man. I don't know what's going to happen. You never know in those things, but Pete's a very, very good man. I hope he makes it. I was very surprised that Collins and Murkowski would do that. And of course, Mitch is always a no vote, I guess. That's Mitch a no vote? How about Mitch?
He hasn't said yet.
What?
He hasn't said yet.
Let's see what happens.
Greetings again. As I mentioned, it's a big day today to President Donald Trump will be visiting North Carolina and California, where the disasters have recently hit. And he also just recently, as soon as he got in office, he said he wants to declassify the assassination records of JFK, which is John F. Kennedy, Ron F. K, and MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. So I'm going to show some of that too. So that got signed right in. So that is along with the other excitement, at least for me, and with UFO information. So we'll get more information on the unidentified flying objects, things like that, that Trump said from day one, he is going to open up the information. Because not only does he wish to see it and, things like that, he feels that we're entitled to seeing a lot of this information as well. So I'm going to get right into that right now.
Fully declassified. The three most infamous assassinations in modern American history: John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And now, new information on those dark days are set to be revealed. President Trump issuing a new executive order to declassify documents on those assassinations.
And this comes as another executive order from Trump has been blocked by a federal judge. Now, we do have team coverage this morning. Jeff Saperstone is in the newsroom. But first, we want to get to NBC 10's Alicia Palumbo, who's live at the JFK Library in Dorchester. Alicia, tell us more about these top secret documents.
Well, Raul, all three of these assassinations date back to the 1960s, and releasing these documents is something that President Donald Trump promised to do during his campaign.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades.
President Trump telling reporters, quote, everything will be revealed, as he signed this executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The order directs the Director of National Intelligence and the Attorney General to develop a plan within 15 days to declassify the remaining JFK records and within 45 days for the RFK and MLK cases. It's not clear, though, when those records would actually be released. Mystery and intrigue has surrounded JFK's 1963 assassination after the lone suspect, Lee Harvey Oswald, was fatally shot while claiming to be a patsy. Only a few thousand of the millions of governmental records related to the assassination of President Kennedy have yet to be fully declassified. NBC News cameras caught up with RFK's son and Trump cabinet nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. After the executive order was signed Thursday, he has said in the past that he believes the CIA was involved in his uncle JFK's death.
I'm very grateful to President Trump.
You think that that's the right move to declassify those documents?
I think it's a great move because we need to have more transparency in our government, and he's keeping his promise to have the government tell the truth to the American people about everything.
But JFK's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, criticized the president's move on social media, posting on X, declassification is using JFK as a political prop when he's not here to punch back, and there's nothing heroic about it. Meanwhile, researchers say that some of these documents may have been destroyed over the years. We're live at the JFK Library in Dorchester. Alicia Palumbo, NBC 10 Boston.
Should have been done months ago from the hurricane that took place almost 4 months ago. North Carolina's been treated very badly, so we're stopping there, and we're going to then go to Los Angeles and take a look at a fire that could have been put out if they let the water flow, but they didn't let the water flow. And they still haven't. I think we're going to have a very interesting time. I think many of you are going with us. If you'd like to have a ride in the plane, we'd love to give it to you.
Mr. President, why did you invite Adam Schiff on your trip?
I don't know. Is he going? Is he going? I don't know. If he's going to be there, we can keep him, but I didn't invite him. Somebody did. president is a good man. I don't know what's going to happen. You never know in those things, but he's a very, very good man. I hope he makes it. I hope he makes it. I was very surprised that Collins and McCarthy.
Visible sign of Donald Trump's immigration crackdown may come at the U.S. border with Mexico, where 1,500 American soldiers are being deployed, as Trump promised.
I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country.
For now, the troops will only be supporting Customs and Border Patrol. Trump is considering whether to invoke the Insurrection Act to allow the military to carry out arrests on American soil.
He's using his executive authority because desperate times call for desperate measures.
At the same time, communities across the U.S. are bracing for large-scale immigration raids and promised mass deportations.
Parents due to deportation, my whole world would fall apart.
We want our immigrants. This is a country of immigrants. It's imperative that you go to school, use the hospital service, use the police services.
Some local leaders have vowed not to cooperate, as the new administration warns no place is safe. Undocumented immigrants could even be arrested in churches and schools.
The only way that we will cooperate with ICE is if there's a criminal threat to our community. But aside from that, we will not be cooperating with ICE.
In response, Trump's Justice Department is vowing to prosecute local officials. A 3-page memo warns federal law prohibits state and local actors from resisting, obstructing, and otherwise failing to comply with lawful immigration commands. It says the department shall investigate instances involving any such misconduct for potential prosecution.
We are watching what Donald Trump is doing every single day with his executive orders.
Yet there's no sign the new administration is willing to bend.
The vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
After this direct plea during the inaugural mass,
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President.
Trump responded on social media, calling the bishop nasty and demanding an apology. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
It's almost the end of Trump's first week in office, and he's done a lot. He shut down windmills, he saved TikTok, he caught Carmen San Diego, and the man just can't stop, won't stop.
Amazing work. So I just want to thank everybody. We're going to get over and take a look. We'll say a few words. I do want to introduce some of the people that we have, and our First Lady. We'll start with our First Lady. She wanted to be here because of North Carolina, and then I said, well, you can do that, but you're going to have to come to California, too. And she said, that's okay. And we got to fix that one up, too. Do you ever see anything like that one? It's, who would have thought that could have happened? So, Governor Josh Stein, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we're going to have a very long and good relationship. Representatives, maybe stand up if you would so the press can see. Representatives Chuck Edwards. Chuck, thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Tim Moore. Virginia, you know Virginia Fox, a legend. She is such a powerful woman. Pat Harrigan. Pat, thank you very much. Your Agriculture Commissioner, who I hear is excellent, Steve Troxler. Steve, thank you very much. Good job, Steve. You got plenty to do, right? Huh? More than you ever thought. North Carolina Speaker Dustin Hall. Thank you, Dustin. Thanks, Dustin. Very good. House Majority Leader Brendan Jones. Brendan, thank you very much. We're making progress, Brendan. State Representatives Dudley Green, Carl Gillespie. Thank you very much, fellas. Good. Good. Thank you very much. State Senators Kevin Corbin, Warren Daniel. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin, Warren. And County Commissioner Jennifer Best. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you. So Hurricane Helene was one of the worst natural disasters in American history. It was far worse than it was even billed. I have never seen such water damage. It was largely water damage, wind damage, but water damage nobody's ever seen. I've been here, as you know, numerous times, but now I'm here in a position where we can do something, meaning I've been in office for 4 days, and I wanted to come sooner, but actually they had a little problem with getting logistically in here, but I would have been here even sooner. 104 North Carolinians have lost their lives. Is that now a fairly firm number, or are they still finding people? You know, what do you think? They're still finding people? Pretty much okay? It's a lot of people. 104 people lost their lives. 73,000 homes were severely damaged or destroyed. And I'll tell you, I've been to a lot of them, and this was like lots of hurricanes in one. I've never seen such damage done by water. And the water came, it was violent, and it left, and there was like nothing left. It's really pretty amazing. At one point, half of the emergency calls to FEMA went unanswered. That's real bad. FEMA was not doing their job. The city of Asheville went without running water for 2 months. A whistleblower testified that some FEMA employees refused to help people who displayed Trump signs on their property. I think that's true, isn't it? I read that. It's not nice. That's not too nice, is it? But whoever those property people were, thank you very much. Michael, is that true? That's not good, huh? About the property owners you put a Trump sign on and they wouldn't help? FEMA. Earlier this year, FEMA kicked 2,000 North Carolinians out of their temporary housing into below freezing temperatures. What was that all about? Is that, you know about that? What happened? Tell me.
We had an incompetent administration under Biden, and we had a disaster, and we call it the disaster after the disaster. That was the FEMA response.
You had nothing but disaster since then. It doesn't matter at this point. Biden did a bad job. Some residents still don't have hot water, drinking water, or anything else, and many of them don't have quarters. They don't have anything. They got a stipend for what they lost, and we're going to take care of it. This is totally unacceptable, and I'll be taking strong action to get North Carolina the support that you need to quickly recover and rebuild. We're working on it very hard, and I think if Michael Whatley does half as good a job for North Carolina as he did for my campaign, we'll be very happy. Him and Laura were a very powerful team. So you think you can handle it, Michael? I don't know. I'm not sure, Michael. I think this is maybe in many ways easier, okay? Maybe easier. But you're going to lead the team. You want to say who the congressmen are that you want to appoint? Do you want to introduce them?
We have Virginia Fox, Chuck Edwards, and Tim Moore.
Either we win or they win. We agree on nothing else. That is an especially dark view of our country. Our military uniforms do not say Democrat, they do not say Republican. They just don't. Mr. President, you cannot be an effective commander if your people don't trust you. But how are troops supposed to trust you to keep them safe in combat if you think half the nation is an enemy? How are Muslim service members supposed to trust you if you think their religion is a threat to our country? How are women service members supposed to trust you if you think they should be at home? I don't have an answer to that. Maybe Mr. Hegseth doesn't either. Maybe that's why he won't meet with me. And then again, maybe it's because he thinks I'm his foe because I'm a Democrat. Or maybe he doesn't think
CBS News that Pete Hegseth, President Trump's embattled pick for defense secretary, paid $50,000 to the woman who accused him of sexual assault in 2017. Hegseth denies any wrongdoing. The former Fox News host is headed for a final vote in the Senate as early as tomorrow. He passed a procedural vote today, 51-49. There were two Republican defectors, Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine. The combat veteran has faced hard questions about his qualifications and an allegation of sexual misconduct and heavy drinking.
We're going to begin with a major obstacle for President Trump as his first week in office draws to a close. So first, a federal judge has temporarily blocked his executive order to end birthright citizenship, and the judge had a blunt message for the president. And meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, two key Republican senators now say they will not support Pete Hegseth's nomination for defense secretary. Ed O'Keefe has more of the blistering decision from the judge first. Ed, good morning.
Tony, good to see you. President Trump is vowing to appeal the decision, but the ruling's a good reminder. While the president has signed dozens of executive actions or orders this week, they are certain to face challenges.
Obviously, we'll appeal it. They put it before a certain judge in Seattle, I guess, right? And there's no surprises with that judge.
The Reagan-appointed federal judge said the executive order to end birthright citizenship was blatantly unconstitutional, adding, "I have difficulty understanding how a member of the bar could state unequivocally that this is a constitutional order. It just boggles my mind." President Trump's boldest, most urgent move this week, ordering 1,500 U.S. troops to the U.S.-Mexico border and considering adding additional troops that would total up to 10,000. Those troops would join the thousands of Texas National Guard already there.
Making sure that the border is safe and secure and that criminals don't come into our country.
Where they will deploy and how they'll carry
too. So it's important that you realize that a lot of us have just taken the initiative to be boots on the ground every single day because we're experiencing something we've never experienced before. It's hard to combat something that you've never fought before, but I know a mighty God. And so we serve and we are just elated to be here every day. I feel guilty putting on a suit today because there's so many of my friends who's lost their homes, who's lost their churches, who's lost their businesses. We feel guilty shaving, you know, because there's some people that don't have it. So I wanted to come and make sure that the governor's office, who is very, very gracious, and they're working very, very hard. I've been in closed-door meetings that most people would never know about. And some of the stuff that was talked about in those meetings were on the news in the morning, passed as legislation. So we want everybody to know that we're stronger together. We get better together. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce you to Speaker Rivas. God bless you.
And thank you, Pastor, for those words and to help put things into perspective for all of us. You know, last week, my colleagues and I, John Harbedian, who represents this region, who's here, you know, we made a commitment to act quickly, to act urgently, to help those affected by these catastrophic wildfires. And now we're here this afternoon. We're delivering on that commitment. Urgent action. $2.5 billion to help the people of LA immediately. This critical funding will expedite the cleanup of devastated neighborhoods like nearby Altadena, where so many of our communities of color have been they're displaced. In Palisades, thousands of people have lost their homes, lost their livelihoods. And this funding also accelerates planning to rebuild LA schools, and speeds up inspections and permitting to help rebuild homes. I want to thank our governor for his leadership. I want to thank the Pro Tem, Mike McGuire, all of our colleagues in the legislature, our fellow lawmakers, from especially from Los Angeles, for moving quickly to get things done for LA. You know, last week we spent time here on the front lines in fire-wrecked areas, and there are no words to describe the devastation and the loss. We are grateful to all the firefighters, emergency responders who put their lives on the line. I'm also inspired and absolutely moved by the response from Angelenos. So many people across our state, people who have opened up their homes, who have volunteered and continue to volunteer, who have come together to help. And in that same spirit, I want to point out this morning when we passed this important bill, we passed it with very strong bipartisan support. Bipartisan support for a recovery package that, you know, I think everyone in our legislature understands the urgency of this moment. You know, and I hope that the federal government understands that urgency as well. You know, this is not the time for politics and some political games and finger pointing. We need to come together to rebuild this great American city. And I urge President Trump to provide federal dollars quickly, without conditions. This funding is an important first step for LA. I know that we will be here. We will keep working. We will keep listening to the people of Los Angeles to make sure that they have what they need to recover and rebuild. And with that, I want to invite up here the Pro Tem of the Senate, Mike McGuire.
Thank you so much, Speaker Rivas. And I want to take a moment to be able to acknowledge Speaker Rivas for his leadership in this absolutely critical time, and to all the Assembly members who are here today. It is humbling to be with you today, and I'm grateful to be with neighbors. Pastor, thank you for the words. To our first responders, the members of the Assembly and Senate, we have Senator Allen, Senator Perez, whose districts have been devastated, Senator Durazo, Senator Gonzalez, Senator Richardson, Senator Rubio, Senator Small-Cuevas, Senator Wiener, Senator Archuleta, and Senator Menjivar. And of course, to our governor, who has been delivering 24/7 from the very first night of this fire. And we owe him a debt of gratitude. You know, these fires, and I don't mean to get emotional, these fires are nothing short of devastating. Our hearts are with all Angelenos. I've experienced horrific fires in the Northern California district that I proudly represent, losing thousands upon thousands of homes over the past many years. And I know right now, for so many across LA, are overwhelmed. Many are overwhelmed. But we promise we have your back, and we're going to get through this. You know, tens of thousands of LA residents, our friends and families, need our help. Need our help to better rebuild the homes that they love, rebuild the businesses that their families own at times for generations. They need our help right now to be able to rebuild their lives. But what we don't need, partisanship and political BS. And that's why we have moved with urgency today. We put aside our political differences in the chambers, and we are laser focused, no matter if you're Republican or Democrat, laser focused on delivering the financial resources, the boots on the ground, the policy relief needed to be able to get neighborhoods cleaned up and communities rebuilt. We fast-tracked this $2.5 billion that was approved, and this should be considered a down payment, which will help kickstart the community, clean up and get neighborhoods rebuilt. No red tape, no politics, no delays. But I can't stress this enough. I have been meeting with the Speaker and the Governor over the past several weeks. We will most likely be back in front of the legislature in the weeks to come on additional supplemental relief. And these dollars, we firmly believe, are going to be reimbursed by the federal government. But speaking of the federal government, I think it's critical to note this. These wildfires that we've seen do not discriminate, no matter what your income level may be or your party affiliation is. Here's the truth. No matter if you lose your home to a hurricane in Florida You lose your business to a flood in Louisiana. You lose your ranch to a brush fire in Texas. We're all Americans first. And as Americans, we go through tough times as a country. And there are moments in our lives where the challenge is bigger than one community, one county, and one state. And California is going through a tough time. But here's what I know. The cleanup and rebuild may be tough in the months to come. There's so much loss. But survivors are strong. People are resilient. Folks can endure a lot. They just need to know from all of us that California and all of America are standing with them. And this $2.5 billion is a clear commitment that we've got your back, LA. We've got your back now. We've got your back in the months and years to come. Your rebuild, your comeback is California's top priority. It is now my distinct honor to be able to introduce the great
murders of the 20th century, the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his younger brother Robert F. Kennedy, and the civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, President Trump is ordering the full public release of classified files related to their killings, saying it will end the mysteries surrounding them.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years.
On JFK's 1963 death, the Warren Commission report concluded Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. But questions and conspiracy theories have lingered for decades, fueling an industry of books and films like Oliver Stone's 1991 hit movie JFK.
People got to know why he was killed.
Kennedy's nephew, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Trump's nominee to lead the Health and Human Services Department, has long insisted the CIA played a role in his uncle's murder, an allegation the CIA has denied. President Trump mentioning Kennedy when he signed the order.
Give that to RFK Jr.
RFK Jr. praising the president's action.
We need to have more transparency in our government, and he's keeping his promise to have the government tell the truth to the American people.
But JFK's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, is not pleased, posting in part, "Declassification is using JFK as a political prop when he is not here to punch back. There's nothing heroic about it." In 1968, RFK and MLK Jr.'s murders again shocked America. RFK's assassin, Sirhan Sirhan, remains in prison to this day. Members of Dr. King's family have asked if he was the victim of a government plot to kill him. The assassinations ushering in an era of distrust that President Trump may be looking to erase.
He feels, and other people might feel, that to have these final records and at least dispel some of the mysteries might help to clear away at least a little bit of the confusion and the distrust.
Peter, interesting to hear from the family members there. What's the timeline for the release of these files?
Yeah, Craig, good question. They will not be revealed immediately on the JFK files. Officials have now 2 weeks to come up with a plan to share with the president. Then they have a month and a half to come up with plans for the RFK and MLK files. Get this, the National Archives has said 97% of roughly 5 million pages of JFK files have already been released, but it's those last ones that could hold the most tightly kept secrets, Craig.
Meanwhile, Garrett, there has been some movement on some of the president's cabinet nominees. What's the latest there?
Yeah, that's right, Savannah. President Trump got just his second cabinet pick confirmed yesterday. A big bipartisan vote in favor of former Congressman John Ratcliffe, now the CIA director. There's also, though, new drama over Defense Secretary pick Pete Hegseth. In a written response from Hegseth to senators, we learned that he paid $50,000 to the woman who accused him of sexual assault back in 2017. You remember, Hegseth denied the allegation. No charges were ever filed. And his attorney has previously said that the former Fox News host paid that settlement because he, quote, strongly felt he was the victim of blackmail. But these revelations come as the first procedural votes on Hegseth are underway. Moderate Republicans Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins are now opposing his nomination, citing what they see as a lack of experience, character, and his past comments that women shouldn't serve in combat roles. That all means if 2 additional Republicans come out against Hegseth, his nomination would fail. That final vote is scheduled for tonight.
The first of 1,500 active-duty U.S. troops deployed by President Trump, arriving at an Army airfield in El Paso, Texas, to help boost border security. Trump's border czar promising more big changes are coming.
You're going to see border wall being constructed. You're going to see a lot of soldiers down there on the impediment progress and putting concertina wire up, border barriers.
Those barriers, multiple sources say, could include the expanded use of floating buoys like these, installed by the Border Patrol along the Rio Grande to deter migrant crossings. And those who do cross will find an asylum system all but shut down by a series of Trump executive orders.
It was really an invasion. We will not allow our territory to be violated.
It comes as ICE conducts raids in some cities, including Boston and in Newark, New Jersey, where the mayor says agents raided a local business, detaining, quote, undocumented residents as well as citizens, adding that one was a veteran who was asked for his military documentation. ICE saying agents sometimes encounter U.S. citizens while conducting field work and may request identification. Trump teasing more to come in a Fox News interview that aired overnight.
Now we have to get people out of our country that would have never been here.
But the president's plan to end birthright citizenship, which he considers a magnet for migrants, was dealt a blow Thursday. Trump's executive order would stop automatic citizenship going to children of undocumented immigrants, but a federal judge in Seattle temporarily blocking it. Judge John Kuhnauer, a Reagan appointee on the bench for 40 years, writing, quote, "I can't remember another case where the question presented is as clear as this one. This is a blatantly unconstitutional order." Trump reacting hours later.
Obviously, we'll appeal it. There's no surprises with that, Judge.
Next week, Marco Rubio's first trip abroad as Secretary of State takes him to Latin America,
where the law and the policies that were intended to end racial discrimination have evolved into the modern DEI apparatus, creating a new kind of discrimination, something we sought to avoid, but which has now crept back in to our country. So the policies that were enacted to address one problem back during the civil rights era have been turned on their head, not to accomplish their original purpose, but to do something entirely different, which is to enact preferences based on race, gender, and other immutable characteristics. In fact, while the Civil Rights Act was being debated right here on the Senate floor, one of its architects, Senator Humphrey, expressed direct opposition to what is now part of the DEI bureaucracy. He said, if the senator can find in Title VII any language that provides that an employer will have to hire based on the percentage or quota related to race, color, religion, or national origin, I will start eating the pages one after another because it's not there. So I think it's fair to say that President Trump's actions earlier this week are not a reversal of the progress we've made since the civil rights movement. They are better understood as the righting of the ship, back to what Congress and the nation intended to accomplish, a nation where all people have a chance to succeed or fail based on their merit and not on race. So this action by President Trump, rather than reversing progress, is a return to the ideal that the United States of America should have always stood for, but unfortunately did not, which is that the equal dignity and equal treatment of every American under the law. That's our goal, and I'm glad to see President Trump has returned us to that original idea since the civil rights era, rather than to somehow paper over this effort to treat people differently based on their race, gender, or other characteristics. Mr. President, I yield the floor, and I would note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsor-Brooks.
Just a little bit of the damage and the problems that the people of Western North Carolina are facing. So, Mr. President, thank you for what you have done for Western North Carolina. Thank you for coming again to see. Thank you, your son Don Jr., he came with us twice. And so they've taken a real interest. And this isn't a politician coming down here looking for votes. This is a man who wants to do something, who wants to see some changes, who wants to make life better for you. So thank you. And Melania, thank you so much for coming. It's an honor to have you here with us. So, Mr. President, please.
Thank you very much, Franklin. Thank you. All right, good man. He's done a great job, fantastic job. And we've come to North Carolina with a simple message for all the people of this region who are hit so hard by Hurricane Helene. And that message is very simple. You are not forgotten any longer. You were treated very badly by the previous administration. And I'm here after a few days of the administration. We're going to California, Los Angeles. They got hit hard, as you know. A lot of that could have been prevented, I think, if they had water, which they had plenty of, but they didn't use it. But I'm going there, and it was set up to go there. And I said, well, what about North Carolina? They said, well, what would you? I said, I have to stop there first. I'm stopping in North Carolina. So we made the stop, and I feel very good. You're represented by some great people, great congressmen are with us, and we're going to get involved with them. And Michael Whatley is here, who is the head of the Republican Party. He worked with Laura Trump to take us through to a tremendous victory. One of the, as the media says, one of the most consequential presidential elections ever. They say in 129 years, whatever that may mean. But whatever it is, it was a great election we had, and we won your state. All 3 times we won your state. And all 3 primaries we won your state. So we won it 6 times, I guess, Mr. Congressman. And it's a great place. And I wanted to come here. And before I went anywhere, frankly, in the campaign, I promised that I'd come back to Western North Carolina to help the people of the state. And today, here I am to deliver on that promise. And we have a lot of things in mind. And we're getting the Army Corps of Engineers all set. You need your riverbanks fixed. You need a lot of roads fixed. And we're going to get it done in rapid time. And I've asked Susie Wiles and all of my people to start calling up, get the Corps ready, and they're going to get ready to go. I don't know what it is. I don't know what took so long for the other administration. But remember, I wasn't here for the first 4 months or 3 months, whatever it may be. See, we can only start as of essentially 1 or 2 days ago, and we've made a lot of progress over the last couple of days, Michael. I understand we're going to get you the resources you need and the support that you deserve, and we'll be at your side through every step of the rebuilding, and no American is going to be left behind. The people that I just met are so great, and the people that own that house is going to be very beautiful in a little while. And who knows, if Franklin decides, maybe he'll rip it down and build him a new one, because sometimes you can do that just as easily, but we're going to take care of the people. I want to thank our great First Lady for coming today. She really wanted to be here. She said, no, I want to go. And, you know, she sees what happened, and she felt very badly, and she wanted to go. And we're then going out together to Los Angeles, but she wanted to be in North Carolina. She saw what happened. She has a feeling like I do for North Carolina. So thanks as well to a great gentleman, Franklin Graham, and his father, Billy Graham. I used to go with my father to Yankee Stadium and places to watch his father preach. And he was some preacher. He was some. You got good stock. You come from the ultimate genes, I can tell you. But he was really something. And Franklin, though, has done so much, and his father's looking down on him right now. I guarantee for a long time he's been looking down on Franklin, saying, I'm very proud of you, son. He really is, because what Franklin's done with Samaritan's Purse is incredible. They told me just yesterday that Samaritan's Purse has been great, but the FEMA people sort of left you high and dry, but we're going to change that around. We're not happy with FEMA. As well as all of the representatives. You have great representatives here. Chuck Edwards, who's here someplace. Where's Chuck? Where's Chuck? Chuck. Tim Moore. Tim, thank you, Tim. Great job, too, both of you guys. Virginia Fox, a power. She's a power, that one. Don't ever have her as your enemy. It's not good. It's not healthy. Pat Harrigan. Good job, Pat. Addison McDowell. These guys were just here, just put in, and they're doing a fantastic job. Addison, thank you very much. Great. Mark Harris. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Brad Knott. Thank you, Brad. Greg Murphy, fantastic guy, my friend for a long time now, right? And the RNC chairman, Michael Whatley, who really, as I said, brought us to a great victory with Laura, the chairman of the party, the whole Republican. I took Michael Whatley from North Carolina because he did the best job and put him in charge of everything, and The job they did together was incredible. Last September, Hurricane Helene became one of the deadliest natural disasters in modern American history. Rainfall rose to far more than 30 inches, which is lethal, unleashing unprecedented devastation throughout western North Carolina and many other states, as you know, but you got hit the hardest. The highest responsibility and deepest obligation of the American government is to protect its people, and that's never truer than in times of emergency like this. Unfortunately, our government failed you, but it wasn't the Trump government. It was a government run by Biden. What a terrible situation. But our government failed the people of North Carolina in this horrible crisis. For 2 months, Asheville lacked running water, and even today, some North Carolinians can't take a hot water shower. They can't drink water. They don't know where to get it. It's delivered to them by some, or they just go out and somehow find some. It's been 4 months since the storm made landfill, and still 180 roads remain closed and in ruins. Earlier this month, the Biden administration kicked 2,000 displaced North Carolinians out of their temporary housing into freezing 20-degree weather. I don't know how they did that one, because it was cold, even while your government provided shelter and housing for illegal aliens from all over the world. But under the Trump administration, the days of betrayal and neglect are over. They are over. As I said in my inaugural address, we restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of the American government. And I think I said most of it in the inaugural address. We said a lot of things, but one of the groups of people I was thinking about is you in North Carolina. A lot of that was in reference to you and what you've had to suffer. I'm pleased to announce that under our leadership, the federal government will be surging housing solutions to the state that go beyond mere temporary hotel stays that ended up being very short term. The government wouldn't do it any longer, which is ridiculous. We'll marshal all available resources and bring back potable water and make your water and infrastructure dramatically more reliable very quickly. Today, I'll also be signing an executive order slashing all red tape and bureaucratic barriers and permits to ensure the rapid reconstruction of the roads here in western North Carolina. We're going to go through a permitting process that's called no permitting, just get it done. That's the way they built them many years ago, I guarantee you that, right? We will get them back very quickly, and we'll begin the work of fundamentally changing, terminating, or overhauling FEMA. FEMA's been a disaster, no matter where they are. We're honored to be joined today very quickly by several families affected by the vicious storm. I'd like to ask each of them to share their story. Chris and Kim West, you could come forward. Ramona Nix, Jackie Mitchell, and Thomas Gary Bright. And finally, the Wright family. And come on up and maybe say a few words. Please, thank you very much. Hello.
Hi.
Come on in here.
Whenever it started, we started moving our vehicles to the top of the road, and by the time we got the vehicles moved, the water had already hit our ankles in the house. And so I grabbed my purse and my little pug dog, and my husband grabbed the dog food and put it in a trash bag, and by the time we got out into the driveway, it was already waist deep, and there was sticks and that kind of thing. I didn't think I was going to make it, but we did make it out, and we made it to the top of the road, and we were kind of stuck there for hours because we couldn't get out any of the ways because it was flooded all the way around. It took us hours, and we sat there, and finally it receded enough to where we could actually get out. It was probably like close to midnight, and it started like 5-6 o'clock in the morning. We just lost everything that we had. Didn't even have a brush for like 3 days. So. Thank you.
Okay, good. Would you like to say something with that beautiful baby?
So, hey. Yeah, so when the hurricane storms hit North Carolina, hit our home, my daughter and my wife and I were actually out of town. But unfortunately, my dad was still at home, and my mother was staying at our house with our animals. And the waters got so high that it actually lifted between that and the tornado that came through, or microburst is what they've been calling them, and lifted his home and the house that I grew up in and crashed it into our barn. It took away his business. It took away all of our tools and tractors and everything needed to keep the farm going. And my mother was trapped in the house, and there was no way to escape because the water got so high. The only thing she could do was ride it out and wait till the waters came down. So we've been doing a little bit of battling with our insurance and FEMA. We did have proper insurance with flood insurance and homeowners insurance, but since we had proper insurance, FEMA's not been able to assist us with a whole lot of things. And again, we've been having some issues with trying to get some payout for our insurance in a timely manner. We had to do mold mitigation on our home, which is extremely expensive, before the structural engineer even came out in order to get our flood payout. And to me, that was not really acceptable.
Has the insurance company been responsive or not really?
Not so much. You know, again,
They give you the money they have to give you?
I'm hoping so. And we need some assistance with that. We reached out to an attorney.
What's the name of the insurance company?
North Carolina Farm Bureau.
We've got to move them, right?
Yep.
That's terrible.
That's what we're after here.
A lot
So
of people had that problem too, with the insurance companies, general, different insurance companies, and they're all difficult, or just one particular one?
I've heard different stories from others, and
Have
a
you
lot
heard of
of folks are.
More responsive?
And I've heard some good instances of even Farm Bureau themselves, but in my case, you know, they'd send out a third-party adjuster immediately. Well, they wound up firing that third-party adjuster group. He gave us a quote for a much higher estimate than what we received.
And he got fired?
And then he got let go. Yeah, he got fired. So then they brought in another third-party adjuster to come in and lowball us. We've not received any kind of, so the flood insurance is our primary insurance, and so there was roof leaks in the home that the inspectors found, the adjusters. Well, that contributed to us losing some of our personal property as it come in the third story where there's no, or second story living space, where the flood water, well above the floodwaters. So they've neglected us for.
Was your mother saved?
Yes, she's saved.
So
Yep,
she wrote it out?
she's right here.
Okay.
So we made it.
That was not exciting, right?
That's right.
How scared were you?
Very.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No.
You didn't think so?
Nope. I just started praying.
So you were sort of on a boat. Your house became a boat.
It's a big pontoon.
That's some story.
It was a beach house on the steps.
I'll bet this guy would like to say something.
I was next door to the house, and my son was out of town, so when he came in to Charlotte to my sister's, he called about 2 in the morning because at midnight the water was still in the stream, within the banks. So when he called, the water was coming up, so I started moving vehicles up to about 5:30 in the morning, and she was in the house, and I pulled up to the steps and I said, hop on the fender and I'll get you out. Well, he built a beach house on stilts, 5 times higher than the floodplain. And she said, well, he said I'd be okay. So I'm staying with the dogs. So I went to higher ground with some vehicles, hers included, and the water covered everything. But I'd already seen it come around both sides of my place. So I got my blind and deaf dog and a bag of valuables and took up off the side of the hill behind my house, and then was heading to the cemetery back there because I knew it was open, because there was trees falling and uprooting. It was raining.
You never saw anything like that?
No, I've been through floods all my life around there. Never nothing.
Never been anything like that. But you're okay, right?
Yep. House destroyed.
Well, we're gonna help you out. We're gonna help you out.
Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Anybody else? You guys okay?
Our day that morning began a little taller with some trees falling into our house, which our house is goes back 4 generations, 80 years, and never came close to flooding. And we woke up with trees about 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and our house sits 3/10 of a mile back off the road, and the water, we've had flooding and such in the lake, but nothing like we saw. And like most everybody else, we moved 5 vehicles as far up, and lawnmowers and everything else, and the water started coming in the house. And when it got up to about ankle high, we have a loft. I got her up in that and tried to gather what you might want, which was totally random. And when it made it to the loft and started getting up to about her hips, I built a little makeshift ladder and we got out on our roof. And we spent 4 hours on the roof. I had a little baggie. I did notes on my cell phone to my 2 kids and my 2 grandkids, and something to identify me in case we were lost in it.
Did you think you were going to make it?
No, we're.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, we didn't think we were going to make it at all. I mean, our house was 25 feet underwater.
So you didn't think you were going to live?
No, we were watching houses, trailers, bodies coming by us. And we lived in the Azalea Road area in East Asheville, O-Team. Yeah, we watched our garage float by.
Just lift up.
Yeah. But, we got to a point where it crested about 4 feet up on the roof. We took about 3 or 4 hours for it so we could kind of do everything in reverse and got out in the mud to higher ground. And I got out higher ground up to the subway and got over to her daughter's house, where when she saw that I didn't have her, she lost it. And I was like, she's okay, she's alive. And we tried to make our way back in there and gather things best we could. But, found the body right away. There was about 8 bodies in our area the first 2 weeks located. And we were lucky we weren't one of them and blessed. But like other people, no insurance on flood insurance, so we had to depend on FEMA. They did what they could do, and of course it's not enough. Yeah, not crazy. But again, we're thankful to be alive, but it's a long haul.
What are you doing now?
Staying in a camper. I've never been, if y'all notice, I'm a big guy. I don't sleep in campers very well. And the first night we spent in the camper, very grateful with the Asheville Dream Center coming through with one. And
you still have the land?
Oh yeah, it's family land. Yeah, the land, it looks like a beach now. It's sand, but
Can it be built on?
Yes.
Do you intend to do that?
Yes.
You want to build again?
Yeah, Samaritan's Purse. We're working with them. We're working with people. It's 80 years, 4 generations.
But the house is totally gone.
No, the house is there. It's down to they came in and mudded it, but everything in it was completely destroyed. But it's tough. I think we're at a point in Asheville where people's forgot about Asheville, and it's stagnant. Everything is stopped. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you, Jay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a Pastor Nick's, our church right down the road. We had only purchased in May, and it's a big church. We're a small congregation, and I had people say, what are you going to do with this big building? And I said, only God knows. And we had our dedication, and the storm came the next week. And the outpouring of people, my son brought the first load of supplies, and from there, I stayed there for about 3 months. I slept on the floor for about 3 weeks because the need was so great. The people were so devastated, and I said, I want to be here for them. And they were coming in just day and night, so there's really no need for me to go home. But we had people from Kentucky, Tennessee, Texas, Indiana, Oklahoma, people from all over. We have not received any help, like from the government or anything. But I said, Lord, if you want us to do that, people
So they came from
all over the states.
But FEMA did nothing.
It was
No.
FEMA's waste of time and money.
The locals and the people that knew us. And before the week was over, our church was so packed with supplies we couldn't even walk. Even in our sanctuary, it was up to the platform of things, and in our halls and in our rooms, and we're just now beginning to get a little straightened out. But somebody said, how long are you going to be here? I said, I'm going to be here through the winter and even on, if possible, because when you meet people that's been through the struggle. I had a little lady come up, and I said, can we do anything special for you? And she said, I don't want to be selfish, but said, could I have a cup of coffee? And I handed her that coffee, and she stood there, and tears just poured. She said, you don't realize how important. It's not the big things in life that we have, but it's the little things, and knowing that God is our source. I don't look to man. I don't have to have a lot of things. I had trees, about 20 trees down in my yard, but that didn't really matter. It doesn't matter, because the needs of the people is what I want to be there for. God is good. He's very good. And my daughter now, her house is really in bad shape, and I'll let her tell you about that. But thank you, President. This is our president. We appreciate you so much.
I live out in the Fairview area of North Carolina, and near the Back Cave, Lake Lure area. And our area was hit. It was hit really hard. I was home alone, and my husband had stayed in town because we take care of a little lady that's 98 years old, and she lives out in the woods by herself. And I said, just stay with her and make sure that she's okay. And I got up the next morning, and my first thought was, I want to go see what our road and bridge looks like. So as I was making it down to the road and the bridge, there was no road and bridge. And so, here we are, we're like at a little island, we can't access the main road or anything. And then the fire department came by the next day and said that they were evacuating me and my neighbor because a landslide was going to come. And they told me to get my stuff and get ready. And so while I was getting my stuff and getting ready, there was a knock at the door, so I thought it was the fireman. And I went to the door, and there stood my 21-year-old son. His name's Nathan, and he had drove as far as he could to get to me, but he hiked 5 miles, and it took him a really long time. And he got there, and he said, Mom, grab a bag, we gotta go. And I said, son, there's no way I can hike out of here. And he's like, no. He said, we gotta go. So we started hiking out, and I seen one of my neighbors who, she had no clothes on. Her skin was like chunked up. It was just, she was blue. She had been in the waters, and where she had went or I don't know, but horrific is just all I can say. But then as me and my son hiked on out, we went through where this place, we call it Craigtown, but there were like a lot of family members there that passed away, like 11 of them, and there were people out everywhere looking for their loved ones, and there were dead bodies. My son's like, Mom, you're gonna see things you don't want to see. And so anyway, we got through all that, but I stayed at our church in our sound booth. My husband and I, we just slept up in the sound booth for a couple of months because we didn't have power or anything for about 2 months out there. And then we have went back. I've been fighting with FEMA since day one. Our community, there's like 32 homes. We don't have a road and a bridge. We're driving through our neighbor's property. I went to EMS and I said, look, my concern is if we have a fire or we have an emergency out here, you're not going to get to us. You can't get those big trucks up here. And I've called and called and called FEMA, and I said, this happened on September 27th. That's 4 months ago. Well, for us today is still September 27th. We haven't had help. And so when I talk to FEMA, I'm explaining the road and the bridge, and they send me a letter that tells me to basically fix it and send in my receipts, and they'll refund me some money. I'm looking at a road and bridge that honestly, the bridge itself is probably going to be $300,000, and the road could be close to that also, because we have to have, the community has to have big boulders brought in. We're not a rich community. We can't fix it ourselves. You know, it's just, and as far as like house repairs, I'm still pending. I can't get money from FEMA until I fix the road and bridge and send in my proof that it's fixed and everything. It's just, it's been a nightmare, and I totally feel like that we've been forgotten. If it had not been for our fellow American citizens who stepped up to help us, I don't know what we would have done. I have 5 neighbors around me who completely lost everything. You know, I have damage to my house, and I don't feel entitled. I'm embarrassed to even say I need help, because, you know, and sometimes there's even that survivor's guilt is what they're calling it, but you feel guilty to even be alive sometimes. You know, when you look around, you see your neighbors that are gone, and it's just, you know, we need help. I wrote a letter to send to Congress. You know, I don't understand what's going on. If we can't get FEMA help, then will you guys help us? Will you step up and be our fellow citizen? Will you step up and be our neighbor and send us something? Help us get our community back. I could go on. It's just I don't know, it's just heartbreaking. I appreciate you.
Good daughter you have, huh? Good daughter. Take care of Mom. And your son must be great.
My son is great.
No, he sounds like a real leader. Smart.
He really is. That to hike in.
How would you have been if he didn't come and get you?
I don't know. I just would have been there until, because the only thing we could do, there was no way to get out there. The only thing we could do is just hike up to the church, the first church that was up there, about 3 miles, to get, you know, maybe what we needed or something. I don't know. He is. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you very much, everybody. So we're going to be here. We're going to be working with our congressmen and women, and they're going to do a job. And Michael Whatley is going to be very much in charge, and you'll get it done. And FEMA's ready to rock. They haven't done the job because they weren't really told to do the job by Biden. I guess Biden was thinking about other things, wasn't he? But they weren't told. What they did, what the past administration did to North Carolina is a disgrace. So I just want to wish you all well. I was here right after the event, and I couldn't believe it. I have never seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of bad things, but I've never seen anything like it. And it's an honor to meet the people behind me, and it's an honor to be with our congressional delegation and some of the other politicians in the area. And it's an honor to have Michael Whatley at my side, because maybe we wouldn't be standing here as president if he wasn't. Him and Laura Trump were unbelievable as the head of the Republican Party. So he happens to come from a place called North Carolina. So I said, Michael, fix it. So good luck. Good luck. And we'll supply what you need. You know that. Okay? Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Heartbreaking stories, and how there's been so many local groups stepped up to assist these families.
That's one of the things you hear.
Any talk on having money instead of going to FEMA?
That's what I want to do. We want to bring it locally so that a state takes care of its problem, and then they can bring it down to a local level, like Samaritan's Purse and Franklin, because that's, you know, one of the better examples. But you had numbers of people that did a great job. You have groups that did a great job, and organizations. The one that didn't do a good job was the government. They did a bad job. They did in many ways, they did no job. They weren't even available. So, good question. The answer is we go local. I think it'll work much better. FEMA is a very expensive organization that really doesn't work out very well. It hasn't. This is not the only example. So it was up to me right now. It ended right now, and I just let the state take care of the problem. I mean, you can always have problems. Let the state, if it's Florida, it's a hurricane, let Florida take care of it. They don't need FEMA to come in. Yeah?
outside of FEMA?
Yeah, I envision a very important role for him. It's any role he wants. He's a very capable guy, Michael Watley, a very capable guy, and he's friends and works with these guys, keeps them elected, right? They have to do a good job, otherwise, no matter how good Michael is, not going to work. But they've done an amazing job. They've been great. You're lucky you have great congressmen here, and woman, by the way, a great woman, very powerful woman. And they're going to do a great job. They'll do it together. They'll work together, and we'll supply what they need as they need it. We'll coordinate that, and we will immediately get the Army Corps, Michael, because you need roads built. You know, we're talking about the bridge. We're talking about roads and things. So we got to get them built, all right? Okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Everybody watch your wires.
This is Kai and Y007. Wish you all a good day. Thank you for tuning into my channel. If you'd like to see more information and infotainment, the truth, regardless of how you feel, the truth is at my channel. Yeah, so please consider subscribing. It always helps to hit the like button, whether you're on, check out one of my videos, which are shorter. I have video shorts, and then also live streams. Some of the live streams, I just let it flow and show coverage like I did today. We also have where I do live streams and I give some commentary. But the truth is here. The truth is the only thing that's going to set us free, regardless to our likes and dislikes. We have one planet to share, so let's make the best of it. Hope to see you back. I talk about different things to do with the community, spirituality, sexuality. What was the other thing? Astros. So with that, astronomy and some astrology. I will be going in on Mars. So we're talking about Elon Musk and people wanting to possibly move to Mars. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. I study planets, things to do with outer space. I am an amateur astronomer. So welcome to my channel. Hope to see y'all back. Hope you have a great day. Peace.
Thank you.